to my quick full build summary of the Space 1999 stun gun. This is the 1:1 scale prop replica model. It comes in a set actually. There's this one, the stun gun, and also the comm lock. And that's another video summary that you can definitely check out if you're interested. And the companion that goes with this one. This particular version of the stun gun is that you're seeing here right now actually is the season 1 version, but it actually we have the season 2 version by just subbing out the switch and the side knobs for the shorter profile side knobs and the different style of switch between the kill and the stun. And so that's just made to be able to kind of just pop out like that. And then you can substitute in simply to do that. You'll notice one of the additions that I have in the gun now that I've got it open is that I did actually add in some lighting. Hey everyone, so just doing a bit of work kind of laying out the circuit. I've got the first part of the circuit set up, which is just the main coming from the 9-volt battery up to the trigger switch, and then it's just going to pass through. There's a resistor here, the 385 ohm, and it'll go to the first bulb, and then the negative lead will come back out and go into the battery. So that's the primary circuit. You can see that I do have a couple of connections I'm going to make to add the second circuit hooked up to that battery, but I've got my desk power set to 9 volts here, so we're simulating that, and we should be good to go with this 385 on a single bulb. That should reduce it down to 3 volts, so we should be good. And if we push the button, sure enough, we'll get that, and that's going to be our top light, the top light on our stun gun. So that's really great. It's a nice bright light, as you can see, really pretty piercing. That's circuit 1. So now the job is to add in the other part of the circuit, and the key thing here is that I have to, number 1, tap into the power after the trigger event, because I only want those lights to come on when the trigger is depressed, but before the resistor, because I need all 9 volts, because I've got 3 3-volt bulbs that all need lighting, and so that 9 volts will do that without the need of a resistor. So I'm just going to tap in between the switch and the resistor, add in our reed switch here, which is going to be magnetically controlled because of our stun to kill switch. Will then enable, when it goes to kill, it's going to enable close this switch, and we will then have these bulbs light up as well, where it resumes back into negative. So that'll complete the second circuit. What's really important here is that that we hook these bulbs up in series, because as I say, I'm not using resistors. They're not all. That would be another option, as I could have 385 ohm resistors for each of them, but that's a bit of a waste of power. And not necessary by adding these in series. I don't need that, and I'm using just more energy efficient, not having that resistor for each of them, and less heat being generated inside there as well. So that's what I'm going to do. But to do that, you'll notice it's really important that the positive line that's coming in on that first bulb goes in the positive terminal, but then the negative terminal actually has to go to the positive terminal of the next one. And then the negative terminal, that one has to go to the positive, and then the negative will feed back into our negative in the loop. So that's really important that it be in series, otherwise you will blow these bulbs. I'll just hook that up here. We'll just kind of wrap that around that pin a little bit like that. Nice. And so then I'm just going to do one of these at a time. It's tempting to go hook a bunch of them up, but in my experience, because they're just kind of sitting on there loose, you're just kind of better to do one at a time, be a little bit patient here, and save yourself some headaches. There's our first guy going in. So I'm going to just carry on with another red, because although it's going on the it's kind of going on the negative lead here, it's really just carrying on the positive circuit. It's positive on the following light. So if you in a sense, I'm always going to wire these with the where the positive wire is the input. So in this case, it's going to be that red, so we want that here. So just again solder him in. I run a really hot iron, 480 degrees, so just so that I don't have to be on those pins for very long, and it makes it kind of convenient. And now we're going to hook up to the negative lead here, which are the top guys, and in this case I'm going to go here because this is in the gun, if you imagine, it's at the bottom, so I need this lead to come out, and it makes most sense to have it up top here. So that's what we'll do on the negative, and then this is going to actually head back to our negative terminal. Okay. All right, so let's just connect in our power, which is now on. And let's just test the first piece, which is our top light. That's working great. Looks really good, actually. It's nice and bright. It's awesome. Okay, and so then I need my magnet here. And so nothing here happens when it's just like this, obviously. But once I have some power here, see? Click it, take it away. Take it away. It's working perfect. Lighting itself, I believe I am going to go kind of crazy here and go with these super flux LEDs. These are extremely high, highly luminous. This 17,000 millicandles, which is very, very high compared to sort of a normal 3mm bulb here. That's 6,000, so you can see we're almost 3 times brighter than a super white 3mm with these ultras. And so then it's just simply matter. And then we of course hooked up the trigger to actually trigger our ability to be able to turn that light on. You'll notice in this case, because I'm just by default, it's just going to be in sort of stun here. So just the top lights up, which you can see there. To get it into kill, I actually have to obviously install the switch. Well, you'll notice how we achieved that. Notice here at the bottom, there is just a reed switch that's been installed, and this is a magnetically sensitive switch, so that now I have a magnet that's been installed underneath the switch. Let's just have a look here. So now we can see that it's definitely flat, so it should run well. That's smooth along there, so no not getting in the way there at all. And so let's just see how this looks here. Let's just make sure we still have enough magnetic force here to still manages to enable our lights. So this is perfect, and now there's no, in fact it's extremely loose there now. If anything, that's going to be something we're going to have to address as we move this. So now when I bring this down or install this into place, it actually brings this magnet now and we'll close that reed switch. And so now when we push the trigger, you'll see that all of the lights light up. So that's by design. If I went to stun, you would see it goes back to just the single one, because now the reed switch is not being activated there. So that doesn't not an open circuit there to be able to fire up those other 3 lights. So that's really, really enjoy that. You'll notice I did try to make it as authentic as I could, based on really followed catacombs .space1999.net. They have some great images there. What a wonderful site. Real big props and shout out to that site for just capturing all those original photos. And I think I've heard of probably every photo of from the original props, both for the stun gun and the Comlock, you can find there, and just lots of detail and every little nuanced difference and all the different details. So highly recommended. Great site. And so I really tried to get it to look obviously as close as I could. I really feel that I achieved with the finish. The sort of version of paint that I ended up using turned out great. It's a really close match, both sort of the gloss level and just the finish, it really does look very similar, which I'm really thrilled about. So that's got that part, and so then we're just going to add some nice globs of glue here. The usual tester's stringlets here going on. That's okay, we're on the inside of the thing, so it's not a big deal. There. And let's turn this around here. And I'll try to very carefully bring this down and get it lined up. There we go. We have lots of glue, and it's all together. Let's just make sure. Let me just get another magnet here. Double check here, make sure we didn't. Oh, we're looking good. Awesome. Okay. So I'm just going to actually get a little clamp. There we go. Let me just bring that in just a little bit like that. Lovely. Yeah, so yeah, I just started just doing a little bit of seam work here we obviously had this it's solidly glued together yesterday, so just going to put a little bead, just started putting a bead of fill on here so that it has a chance to dry overnight, so that we can get to sanding it tomorrow, and maybe even tomorrow night being ready to put a coat of paint on here, which would be really awesome. I'm just going to use actually a little bit of my Plastic Magic, which is a glue that I really like. If you've watched any of my stuff, it's kind of my go-to for this kind of thing. Lay a little bit in here. Just try the first one, and you'll notice I got a nice surfaces on the bottoms here, because I didn't. They're not primed at all. So now what we're going to do is just place that in there and see what kind of bond we're going to get with that kind of approach there. And already I can tell that's going to work really great. It's solid already, and so that's definitely our way to go here. So I'm just going to keep laying in a bit more of the glue, and then just do the process here. And that is it for buttons. So you can see two extras, one clear and one not clear, for whatever reason, just part of the model that they provided. Okay, so finished off the filling and sanding. I believe this time we should be good to go. So I'm going to put down another coat. The one thing I should note, if you ended up having to use this, I found, and it could just be my bottle is really old or something, or I don't know, but anyway, it's extremely thick, and you can see it's just the way it is in there, even, like it's not like, and I shook it forever, but it's really thick. So anyway, for me, I know it says you can spray it from the bottle, and often mission models you can, but I did have to thin it down almost, maybe not quite 1-to-1, but put in a good amount of thinner there, and just got that mix. Just as a side note, I don't know if that's common for everybody, but certainly was for me. So quick update on the stun gun. As you can see, I ended up actually doing a little bit more work even after it had all been ready, and I already had my nozzles all installed. I realized that I still wasn't 100% happy. There was the teensiest little bit of seam that you could see, and I just I just really wanted to just correct that or try a little bit more. So I've been working, taped it all off very carefully, those nozzles, because they're in there so tight. I don't want to try retaking them out. So it just spent a night taping those all off and taping this part off. This part's nice because I can just put the little cover back over there. I don't have to have the other trigger in. That's kind of handy. And then just kind of taping off. Not that this matters that much. If even paint did get in here, wouldn't really matter. But anyway, just kind of taping that off a little bit. And then getting it ready. And then I also did just correct. There actually had been a little spot underneath here that wasn't quite sanded properly underneath, so now it is. I have that nice and smoothed out there too. So I took that opportunity since I was kind of reworking this back edge as well, just the slightest bit of seam there. So now I've got, I think that done. I should eliminate that there now. So next day here after the retouch up, and yeah, it looks just great. Kind of got rid of all the little, it's kind of like really smooth, and no more seams left anywhere there. And the front is excellent. Just what I wanted. Nice and no imperfections there at all. So, and just the look and the way that it came out. I've got the reference photo, one of the reference photos that I've kind of been really looking at a lot. Right in front of me, and it's just such a good match. That color, we got lucky there. Really captured and even just almost the texture, the way that it is, sort of the grain size and so forth is really good. As well, the other metallics that you see, including the aluminum finish on both of these trigger mechanisms. I stripped off the chrome that came with them and substituted in that just a more authentic metallic look there. Same with these side buttons. You'll notice they have a much darker steel that again I think is pretty accurate. And then on the nozzles themselves, they have a different kind of steel entirely that's I think pretty accurate to what we saw on all of them. They all had this sort of very distinct kind of more again steely metallic look, and so we've replicated that there as well. So just got this stuff out of the paint booth. I just shot it to kind of show you how it turned out here. So you can see this is the steel color that I laid down there, and so it's just as you can see it is a fairly kind of darker looking, and I think it's a lot more accurate. I'm looking right at a couple of the pictures, and that's the right idea. It's I think just a better match. If you remember what the sort of the aluminum looked like, it's just a more just darker and more steel-like look, which is great. So really we're happy with that. And so that was using the steel, which is great. So then as you recall, on these buttons, they've also been done. And you can see again, comparing the colors, it's definitely darker. These were done with, no, not that one. This one, dark aluminum. So, so very similar to the one that I have here, but just a shade darker. Can go to season 2 by just kind of removing these knobs. They're not glued into place, and so you can. Oh, actually, sorry about that. Those actually were the wrong knobs. So you're following along and have a very keen eye. There we go. So now we've actually got season 1 fully. I had kind of a hybrid there where I had the season 1 switch, but I actually had the season 2 knobs or whatever those are. And so yeah, so that's how that works. And you've already seen the switch come out as well. The battery is just kind of contained in here. I can just kind of slide that battery like that, and then just be able to actually, you can see that's actually a rechargeable battery, and so I can just plug in there and recharge that. This is a really high powered lithium-ion battery, which is nice. That's 1300 milliamp hours, so it lasts a long time. It's actually a pretty powerful flashlight. These are, as I say, superflex bulbs in there, and so this will power those for a good long amount of time. Then it's rechargeable. I don't actually have to even take it all out. You notice I do have another switch in here. This is just a nice, for me, just a nice to have. You'll notice it just lets me bypass my switch. This is just purely for aesthetics. If I want to have it sitting on a shelf with the lights on, this lets me do that without somebody having to always push the trigger. Typically, I wouldn't have that switch on there, but it is kind of hidden in there if I ever do want that. I obviously use it for some of my photographs that you'll see here at the end of this video as well. Yeah, so you can see here, really, as I say, just so that I don't always have to be physically pressing the trigger. In any case, this you would never need this normally, but I want it, and so just added, just tapped in front of the trigger, and so that we just have the ability now, instead of it only being able to energize by clicking the trigger, we can now energize by just closing this switch, as you can see, and so that just lets me do it without needing to press the button. So yeah, really simple a modification to the circuit for just a convenience of the occasional time when you might want that to just be turned on. So that's it. Really pretty straightforward model. Absolutely love it. The feel and just to have this in my hands after all these years. When I was a youngster, obviously, we loved Space 1999, and this being one of the things that we loved about it. The effects in general were great, and certainly the stun gun was pretty awesome. And so to have it now feels really really great. And it's funny because the feel is not exactly what I expected. For some reason, I'd seen it, but I'd never really stopped to think about having these little things sticking up and how much you feel that. It's interesting. So I hope they're not buttons, because you're pressing them all the time when you hold it. Whatever they are, you definitely do feel them. But it's just neat. It just feels great, and I absolutely love it. And in combination with the comm lock, it just it brings me a whole lot of enjoyment. I just love to hold them and to look at them and have them out on display. It really means a lot, and I spent a lot of time on the finishes and just all of it to get it to look as accurate as I could, and bit of a labor of love there, just because of how much the show meant to me. And these props especially. You'll notice that I did use in some of the cases, some of the finish here. You might notice I actually used the Aztec Dummy set. Okay, so I'm going to just reaching that stage here where I want to try putting on a couple of the vinyl pieces. Remember, I've got a vinyl set that at first I did not think I'd be using very much, but as it turns out, if you've watched the comm lock, or if that's depending on the order and what I include in the video. Anyway, I ended up using them on the comm lock, and they just look so great that I want to try them on here as well. What's really nice about them, I did apply a couple of coats of some dull coat on here. You can see how glossy this black vinyls were. Here's where I had the little clamp on there, and so you can see it nicely dulled them up, and that made a really big difference on the comm lock. These little pieces just are like perfect. They just look exactly like what we wanted, and exactly like they look on those models. And so I want to try the same thing on these little black pieces that go into onto the gun here. There we go. Following the angle of this one is really the key angle that it follows. So in the middle of that, following this, so it should be exactly in line. My thing is, I think that's a little too far, not far enough, because it shouldn't come quite that There we go. Yep. There. That's what we want, just like that. And that looks great. So again, just so nice looking. It's the right, exactly the right sort of look to that. So I'm really happy with that. That's really it. I hope you enjoyed the build and that you enjoy sort of the results of it. And if you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up down below there, and maybe even leave a comment. Those are always fun, and I like to try to reply if I can, and then even subscribe if you don't want to miss on any new releases that come down the pipe there. That's the best way to do it. And you can certainly just click on the little bell icon there too to get notified when I do. You won't be overwhelmed with content. I don't release a ton. I do tend to spend way too much time on getting everything as perfect as I can, but you'll definitely see whenever I do. As I mentioned, this is a full build summary, so there are detailed. I have several very detailed videos that go into every component of this build. And so if you are digging in and want to understand exactly how something was done, the wiring, any part of this, the lighting, the paint especially, I do a lot on all the paints and just all of the trials and tribulations on that front. You will be able to find that, and you can see in the descriptions on those detailed videos, and I'll put a link up there in the corner. If you go into the description, you'll be able to find what's in that in a pretty good detail, and hopefully you can find the area that you're most interested in, and that's helpful for you. I also encourage you to, if you enjoyed this one, you might probably have enjoyed the Comlock too. That's another video series that I've got, and another summary video. I'll put a link up there as well. Really encourage you to check that out too, because it was also a lot of fun. I enjoy them both together, and you'll see some of the photos here at the end. I certainly, pretty hard to have just one. Always love to see both of them together. The one-to-one props especially are just were so much fun. I enjoyed making this model more, as I think I mentioned in the other one too, just more than probably any other model I've done, which that's saying a lot. And it was just so great. And I think it's because I haven't done a lot of one-to-ones. This is a little unusual, and certainly not ones that were so accurate. I've had when I was very young, one of the first models I ever got was the old Star Trek, the little versions of the phaser and communicators, but those weren't even done properly. They were mini versions, sort of like they weren't even one-to-one. And anyway, so long story short, I think that makes them extra special, the fact that these are one-to-one, and they just can come out looking exactly the way we kind of remembered them. That's just a lot of fun. If you were a fan of the show, I think you will really enjoy the model set. It is just a blast to be able to build these, and they're really so well done. MPC, really crystal clear, pieces fit well, lots of expandability, easy to add in the electronics in here. In fact, they even clearly designed them to be able to facilitate that, even though they're perfectly. We're lucky the original models could allow for that, but they certainly encouraged it and made sure that they weren't filling in the insides or doing crazy stuff that made it hard. So it's really available for you to be able to do that. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope we'll see you in the next one.